Hey everybody, this is John Mulrooney. That's Kevin Downey Jr. That's Rick Corso. Chris Cuomo apparently has a brand new project. I think it's called Unemployment. I hope you're brushed up on your Dickens drill. Former President Trump, some people think he's still running the show, promises to reinstate military with back pay and a letter of apology. Samantha Bee gets canceled. Ha ha! Lots more on the Toe to Toe Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our main event. May I remind you that if you find yourself easily triggered or offended, this is not the place for you. I must also inform you that this show is for entertainment purposes only. So, if you enjoy open, honest, and intelligent banter, welcome! If not, get the fuck out! Now, it's time for Toe to Toe. Common sense conversation for uncommon times. Please welcome your hosts on Toe to Toe, John Mulrooney and Kevin Downey Jr.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Rick. We didn't have enough money to include your name in the credit roll. As soon as we get up to 5 listeners,
the money.
Once we get to 5 listeners, we're going to start to ask for money, and then maybe we'll be able to get your name put in there. I'm John Mulrooney. That Kevin Downey Jr. in the center, and
what's up,
Rick
baby?
Corso on. There he is, Rick Corso, coming all the way from the great state of Florida. Great state of Florida. Kevin is out in Michigan getting his nutsack worked on. Are we allowed to talk about that? Is that off limits?
Yeah, we can talk about that. I don't care.
All right.
Who doesn't want their
do you have
nutsack
again?
operation all over the internet?
What's that?
What's that? I said, who doesn't want their nutsack operation all over the internet?
What's the thing called again that you have?
What? 21 views. Who's going to know? It's called a hydro seal.
A hydro seal. It sounds like something you get for a tire.
No, it's about the size of a tire. I'll give you that much. This is the size of a can. It's got to come out. Yes, you can say that. Yes.
Oh.
It's explain what it is.
A hydro seal is a sack of fluid in your balls or a ball of fluid in your sack. Any way you want to put it, and it's got to come out.
And it's got to come out. But you've had some complication that is postponed.
There have been some complications. I'm not going to get into it any more than that. But yes, it's been delayed a couple of months.
You're standing by, so now you're the
opening the show with talk about balls will increase listenership. I'm sure of it.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
This establishes that Downey is the oddball of the group.
Yeah,
very good.
It was a long way to go for that joke. I actually didn't know I was going there with it, but I had to go somewhere. Anyway,
thank God something popped up.
As I said, a couple of things we're going to go over. The Chris Cuomo project. I don't know if you heard about it. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. The Dickens drill, which is becoming a thing on YouTube, and gun-free zones. I'm going to explain a little bit about how these lefty lunatics label things and how they're never what they appear to be. You guys probably heard Trump mention in a rally that he's going to make sure that every military service member who was forced to leave the military for not getting is going to be reinstated at some point, and with full back pay and a letter of apology.
With full back pay.
And we all have a mutual friend. I'm not going to mention her name, but I'm gonna tell her story. Who was literally awakened by the third Fauci and lost the use of her legs. But I will say the good news is it woke her up. She realizes now what's going on, and that basically our government, in cahoots with the WHO, is trying to kill us. And anyone who doesn't see that at this point, we've said this before, is willfully ignorant. And by the way, to that point, I just heard this morning. Kevin's usually up on this stuff. I don't know if you heard it, But of course, we now know that the WHO has planted the flag of monkeypox. Yes? You know that? They've declared monkeypox an official World Health public emergency. Okay?
Yeah, I read that.
And what's that?
Yeah, I read that.
But Russia just expelled the WHO. Did you hear that?
Russia's great.
Yeah.
I'm all over the BRICS countries. You know about the BRICS countries, right?
Yes.
Brazil.
I don't actually.
Russia.
No, I don't. I only in passing.
Well, there's 5 of them. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And they are all going against the WEF, against the United Nations, and against, who's the other corrupt bunch of douchebags? Yeah, I wrote it down. Federal Reserve. So, but they've been doing this. They've been ahead of this since about 2014. So it's not like I mean, they've known what's going on, and it's more proof to me that Trump is in with Putin and these guys, and they're all in on getting rid of this worldwide cabal that's trying to kill everybody.
Yeah. By the way, I just saw that Trump was in D.C. yesterday or day before yesterday. Any idea what that was all about?
I think he was there for TPUSA. Was he there for TPUSA?
For what was it?
Turning Point was the one in Arizona. He was there. I forget. Hold on a second. I might have it because I actually copied the video. Now, if I played the video, you would just hear the audio on your end, wouldn't you?
No, I just wanted to know why he was there. It was Turning Point USA?
No, it was his first. I know it was his first time back in Washington since he left, but it was it may have been Turning Point. It was one of those organizations.
Well, to me at least, 90% of what he does is also it's nonverbal communication. To me, there's always meaning behind what he does. There's nothing random or unplanned about his strategy. So when he shows up somewhere, it's not, or rarely is it just for a speech. So I'm just curious. Well, anyway, we'll see. More to be revealed. But anyway, I just found this morning. I didn't even know it was a thing. Chris Cuomo started the Chris Cuomo Project on YouTube after he got kicked off of CNN for trying to dig up dirt on his brother, the former New York State governor's ex-girlfriends. And now
it gets even better.
Go ahead.
It gets even better. I just wrote about this today. So yeah, he's got the Chris Cuomo Project, and you can get your free agent Chris Cuomo merch if you want. He volunteered to be a volunteer firefighter out in Long Island a couple months ago, but he waffled when he realized that there was a time consideration that he didn't want to put in. And he just announced last night he's going to be on. He's going to be spewing news again on a network called News Nation, which is
that.
It was something else before that, and now so you're going to see the nightly news with Chris Cuomo coming this fall on News Nation. And just to give you a little taste of what it is, he was on the Dan Abrams live show when he announced he's coming. Dan Abrams got 54,000 viewers last night, and Anderson Cooper got, I think, 680,000 viewers. So and Anderson Cooper's not even doing that well in the ratings. Keep in mind. So that's where it stands. So that's how far down News Nation is. That's how far down. I mean, 680,000 sounds like a lot, but I was just checking the ratings. I think the first CNN show in all of cable news is at number 27.
And this is the part that I'm glad you brought that up and that you saw it. Did you also see him mention that he's proud to be a part of what he's now calling the insurrection media?
Oh, is that? I didn't see that part. Is that what he called it?
That's what he called it. I saw him on that show promoting his new quote-unquote launch on News Nation, and your numbers are exactly the ones I heard, 54 to 55,000 viewers. And he was happy to be there and bring something new and fresh with this upstart insurrection media. What a douchebag. He was making...
And you said he's selling merch also?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can get
it's
your
all.
Chris Cuomo T-shirts and
selling
hoodies.
Chris
He's also selling his
Cleaners.
Alfredo sauce.
What about gym workout clothing you use when you have COVID? You're not supposed to be out. That kind of stuff.
By the way, I just want to jump back for just a second in regard to the monkeypox thing. So the WHO has come forward now and said that monkeypox is officially a public health emergency. And I looked at the statistics of what monkeypox is, how it gets transmitted. Again, this comes off television, so it all has to be held up to question. But apparently 5% of the population is potentially, just potentially, at risk because the most direct way of transmitting monkeypox is through sodomistic style sexual positions of persons of the same sex. So if
that's good because I thought it was from chronic masturbation in public. Oh, that's monkeypox. That's monkeypox. That's
Hi-yo! So
Kevin,
yeah, so even those people over there, that's that small 5%. Even out of those, the percentage is very low. So again, once more, let's scare the people into believing there's a bunch of nonsense that's coming that isn't.
Yeah, I think there are like 200 cases in the U.S.
What's that?
Well,
I think there's something like 200 cases in the U.S.
200.
I don't want to reveal anything too personal, but some people that we know have had shingles, and I hear that it's very similar to shingles, which is really painful. Who the fuck wants to have sex when they got that pain? Except masochistic crazy people. It's not going to spread. Yeah. You're in bed going, this fucking hurts. I'm not going out spreading it.
Yeah. Ooh, that hurts. Do it again. Right? Well, listen.
Hey, watch what you say about me right here.
Or not, if it's painful, that's not the supposed asymptomatic spread they said about COVID. This is somebody's in pain. They're going to fucking stay away from you. Hopefully. Right?
Well, you've never been married. Well, no, you have been married. I'm sorry. You have. But anyway, so Chris was making $6 million a year over at CNN before he's now on board with the Insurrection Media. That breaks down. I didn't do the math. I'm not smart. That breaks down to $25,000 a day. $25,000 a day. Wow. He left that now because he wants to be a part of the Insurrection Media. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with the Chris Cuomo tragic. Chris
he
also
sounds like the guy that got dumped by the hot wife, so now he's with the fat chick pretending this is what he wanted the whole time.
I love how because she's more than a person.
Yeah, I love how Downey brings it back to an everyman's perspective.
Yes, he does.
That's one of my few talents in life, John.
Yes, it's
over on. But you know what? Duration of the show. 5 weeks.
What's that?
You demonstrated
the
well.
The over under on the duration of the, what do you say? 5 weeks.
Oh, how long until Chris Cuomo?
Yeah.
Well, I think if he gets even a shred of the $125 million he's suing CNN for, he's going to bail. Like if he can just get enough to survive for the rest of his life, if he gets $10 million, I think he'll bail. I think he'll be done with TV, and he'll do something stupid like the Chris Cuomo Super Duper podcast from his basement. I mean, I think he's attention hungry.
You just made my point. I don't think he'll bail because he needs to be recognized. That guy has to be seen. That's his thing.
Yeah.
It's not about the money for him per se, in my opinion. I need to qualify everything with my opinion. Also, I told Kevin I just got myself a nice new little pocket protector. It's called the Sig Sauer P365. And to that point, I was looking on YouTube, for people who had similar compact carry off duty. And I noticed that what is going viral is something now called the Dickens drill. I talked with Kevin about this, and I talked with Rick about this. This is something that falls within, to some degree, my field of expertise. Elijah, or Eli short, is the young man who took out the mall shooter, in a gun-free zone in Indianapolis. I guess the mass shooter didn't get the message. But fortunately, good guy with a gun takes out bad guy with a gun is in full effect. Of course, as we know, some lefties are screaming, especially the View-ginas on The View. They're yelling that this kid broke the law. He did not break the law. I'm going to explain how mostly everything that any politician, I don't even want to say the lefties anymore, any politician, when they label something, it typically means exactly the opposite of what it says, at least from what I've come to see, especially now. The Dickens drill is this. Let me first back up a second and explain what happened just to qualify this. Eli Dickens was sitting in a mall in a quote-unquote gun-free zone, and I'll explain how that works in a second. He had on him his constitutional carry, which went into effect July 1st in Indiana, correct, Kevin?
Yes.
He had his Glock 17 or 19, we're not sure. It was a large capacity pistol, handgun, probably 9mm or 40, probably 9. I'm going to say a 9. I don't know why. And into the mall, into this food court, also enters the mass shooter. I don't know his name. I don't care to know his name. But he did what we all know they like to do. He brought his bag of guns with him. He went into the bathroom. He tried to set up his rifle. He did set up his rifle. Came back out, started shooting. And within seconds, Elijah Dickens drew his weapon, directed people out of the way, put 10 shots downrange at 40 yards with a pistol, engaging somebody with a rifle. He hit 8 out of 10, an 80% hit rate, which is amazing, especially at 40 yards, and especially under the pressure of knowing that someone at the other end of that range has a gun and may be shooting back at you. He put the threat down. He stopped immediately and then directed the remaining people in the food court where to go and how to get out safely. Since then, and that's why I say this is going viral, since then, people have been jumping on YouTube and they're reenacting the Dickens drill. I've seen at least 3 YouTubers that I'm not even subscribed to. They just happen to pop up on my feed. YouTube algorithm knows what I like to watch, and plus I just bought a new handgun, so I was researching stuff. It's become a thing. It's called the Dickens drill. People go from a sitting or standing position, they're pulling their pistol, they're putting 10 rounds downrange within 15 seconds and trying to get at least 8 of those rounds into the target. I have to tell you, because I just qualified with a police department that I work with, I just qualified with my pistol, with my new pistol that I bought. We were shooting at 25 yards, which is the max range that we have to qualify for. And I remember saying to the instructor, 25 yards, I said, why are we doing this 25-yard qualification? It's kind of not needed anymore. It just doesn't seem relevant. And it was either that day or the day after this thing went down, where this kid from 40, maybe it was 30, but I've heard some reports say 30. Either way, 30 to 40 yards. It's a hell of a pistol shot. And especially to get that many on target in that short a time. If you've never fired a handgun, go out and try to do that. And if you have fired a handgun, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 10 rounds, 40 yards, 15 seconds, and that's with nobody shooting back at you or potentially shooting back at you. And here's the other statistic that Kevin knows, and I've shared this with Rick many, many times. 100% of the time, every single time an active shooter is engaged with somebody else with a weapon, they stop. Either because they're cowards, which we already know, they kill themselves, or they get killed. Done. It's over. They almost never, I can't say never completely, but they almost never return fire. In fact, I don't know of any incident where they've ever returned fire. Do you, Kevin?
I don't know. That's a great question. I'll have to look into that. I'm a big mass shooter reader of things, stories, thingies. So I'll look into that. It's possible.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to say two words I'm reluctant to use. Always and never, because I'm never right and I always regret it. But somebody told me that they seem pretty confident in their statistics. They said 100% of the time the active shooter stops unless they're killed. So we don't know about the one who those few who have been taken down.
The fact that
What's
they
that?
Purposely. More evidence to that fact is the fact that they choose gun-free zones specifically. They don't want anybody shooting back at them. That's where these things happen.
Correct. And here's how the quote-unquote gun-free zone works, because it's not a gun-free zone. Constitutional carry has basically planted the flag for any American who wants to carry, it's at least the beginning of, any American who wants to exercise their Second Amendment right. And what they do with these quote-unquote gun-free zones is they're more promo drives. It's more feel-good legislation. It's not even a law per se. Here is the law. They get the businesses to get on board by making it their policy that if anyone is seen carrying a handgun in their business, they're asked to leave. If they do not leave, they are then charged with either trespass or criminal trespass. That's how the law works. It's not a gun-free zone. It's you can't come in here without being charged with a gun with trespass zone. And that's only if you're seen. So those people who jumped on board and said, he broke the law, he brought a gun into a gun-free zone. This is how they subtly manipulate the minds of the masses. He didn't bring a gun into a gun-free zone because it's not a gun-free zone. It's a trespass law, and they call it the gun-free zone. So these morons, these talking heads from the radical left are trying to say that this kid who took down the shooter should be charged, should be arrested, even though he was not asked to leave.
That's absurd to me. That is absurd.
What?
He stopped a mass killing. There have been so many in the news. We want to stop them. Both sides of the aisle should want to stop mass shootings.
One side of the aisle gets political gain by keeping them going, and they want to take away your gun, and that's the problem. And to your point, John, about language, there you go again. Gun-free zone. No, it's not a gun-free zone. It's that's the left's choice of language to fool you, because they can't get you on the merits of their argument. They got to trick you with words. Like pro-choice, that's baby killing. I mean, it's pro-choice. Well, yeah, but it's also, right?
It's women's reproductive health. That's why I love that bit you sent me about Bill Burr. Yeah, well, he goes, it's like the people that, want to make a birthday cake. You make the batter, you put it in the pan, you throw it in the oven. If you pull it out of the oven in 5 minutes and throw the pan across the floor, you just ruined my birthday cake. Well, it wasn't a cake. It would have been in 50 minutes.
That's right. Good memory.
And,
I watched the beginning of that whole special, and I realized, I came out actually that he's actually pro-choice, and he did that bit, which I respect. But the beginning, he started talking about the division that they're creating between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. And as much as I love Bill Burr, he's got the biggest balls of any comic. He's one of my favorites. He was way off the mark because he was choosing stereotypes. He was choosing the unvaxxed as uninformed people that read something in the Bible. It really annoyed me because the point I want to make is that I think that when in comedy and in life, when you don't buy the fundamental premise, it's hard to listen to anything past that point, But again, to my vaccinated versus unvaccinated, turns out that the vaccinated seem to be getting COVID at just a higher rate, or even higher than the other. So I made a list. Instead of making a list of the people that are vaccinated that got COVID, I made a list of the people that are vaccinated that got COVID, because it's a much shorter list. Would you like to hear it? I got it right here.
I would love to hear it. Rick Corso with his, what list is this, Rick?
A list of the people that got vaccinated but did not get COVID. Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, Michael Ovitz, Barbara Walters, Prince Andrew, Naomi Campbell, John Kerry, Alan Dershowitz, Mike Wallace, Peter Soros, Rupert Murdoch, Christy Teigen, Steve Wynn, Chris Tucker, David Rockefeller, Bill Richardson, Henry Kissinger, David Koch, Jeffrey, and Ghislaine. I'm sorry, that's the flight log. That's the wrong list. I had the wrong list. I'm sorry.
Very good.
Rick Corso, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of which, I'm not going to mention her by name, but a mutual friend of the three of us was literally awakened by the third jab. She had taken the booster. Here, let me back up a minute. Here's what was interesting about this. I had not spoken to this mutual friend of ours for 3 years. Excuse me. Yeah, I guess it's going on 3 years now. It was before COVID. And I had a dream about her just recently, within the last week. And it was so vivid, it awakened me from sleep. Like I jumped up from it, like thinking I was going to see her in the room. I was like, oh my God, I haven't spoken to her in a while. I called her up. And she said, I can't believe you called now. I've been in the hospital since May 22nd. I said, oh my God, what's going on? She said, I went to get out of bed one day. I turned, swung my legs to the floor, and they wouldn't work. She said they rushed me to the hospital, and it turned out, and I don't know how this is related, her potassium and sodium levels were at a percentage that you would have if you were dead. I don't know. I'm not a medical person, so I don't know what that means. But they were so low, she almost died, but lost the use of her legs. Still in rehab over this. They moved her. That day or the day after that I spoke with her. They moved her into a rehab facility. However, I said to her, "Well, tell me how this happened." And basically, without me bringing it up or trying to drag it out of her, she said it was right after I got that third shot. And I had right before asking, had mentioned something about I'm not touching that stuff. And I went, why did you got the third after, hearing how bad the first two were? And she said to me, I'm a fucking idiot. And I had to back up and just say, kudos, because she at least was able to look at what she did and realized that was really a bad fucking choice. After the first two, to be bullied, beguiled, or bought off into getting a third shot, she went and got the third shot, and look what it did to her health. And she knows it was. She knows intuitively. She doesn't have to draw any direct conclusions. She had it a week or two prior, went to get out of bed, boom. Potassium and sodium levels, they're calling it now adult death syndrome. Have you seen that nonsense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Sodium level, that she was probably pretty dehydrated as well, because that's when you lose sodium, all the water leaves your body.
But either way, the point is that at least these people, it's tough to watch, but people that we've been trying to point out to all along, saying, hey, you might want to hold off on that. We're seeing how we were dismissed and labeled conspiracy theorists, and we were told, and I get it. All right, mind your own business. And I did. When we got to that point, you're right. It's not my choice. I will mind my own business. I'll keep my mouth shut, but I've done my due diligence. I told you what I saw. You didn't want to see it. What are you going to do? But at least she's not blaming anybody.
Right. Is she going to be able to walk again ever?
That's a hard conversation. I didn't have it with her. Obviously, we're hopeful, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Gotcha. That's too bad, man.
Did you see this? The member of the European Parliament labels COVID vaccine coercion crime ever committed on humanity.
You broke up a little. Say that again.
This is the headline. Member of the European Parliament labels COVID vaccine coercion worst crime ever committed on humanity.
Wow.
She's the German MP, Christine Anderson. I saw the video. It's on Twitter. You could watch it from 2 days ago.
Well, wow. Cliff High said, Rick and I are fans of Cliff High. I've told you about him, Kevin. I'm not going to get into his story. If check him out on BitChute if you find any of this interesting. But Cliff High said that his data sets indicate that when people like our friend who just woke up to the fact that this third clot shot led to the loss of her legs and is killing people and creating horrible injuries across the globe. When people wake up to the fact of that en masse, he said there's going to be, in his words, there's going to be blood in the street, and it's going to be the masses going after those who tricked them into taking it, even those who were tricked inadvertently, like our own doctors. When I first started reading about this stuff, and I went into my doctor, I had to go into for something un-COVID related, and he's in there all masked up and all this other stuff. And this was fairly on in the beginning, so I was trying to be as patient and tolerant as possible. But still the anxiety over the mask and this and that and the other stuff. And I said to my own doctor, I said, I heard this hydrogel inside these shots. And now I read this from several different publications. And I said, why is that? And he went just like this to me. He went, oh, he goes, I read that too. He goes, I don't know why. And I said, but why would somebody put that in there? They're little nanoparticles. They're robots, little robots. Why would they put that inside a quote unquote vaccine? He goes, I don't know. Why would they? And I thought, you're the doctor. You're supposed to tell me. I know they're in there. You're acknowledging they're in there. Why the fuck are they in there? And he had no answer, but he was still, insistent that this is something that we should all do and blah, blah, blah. And I just went, done. No problem. He's still my doctor, but just because you're a doctor, just because you have a piece of paper on the wall, doesn't make you smart.
No, I've been reading that Vernon Coleman's books. That Dr. Vernon Coleman, an old man in a chair videos.
Oh, he's great.
Thanks.
Yes.
He's great. Well, the funny thing is he's got books written. I got one written in 2006 about 12 medical rules. I forget the title. But the stuff that he says back then is all coming true now. And he basically says there's so few people in the medical and pharmaceutical communities that you could actually trust that you really, really have to dig and do your own research before you get any kind of medical procedure.
Well, our English word of pharmacy comes from pharmakia, which literally translates as witchcraft. Or in some cultures, black magic.
In your hair.
Pharmakia.
I didn't know that either.
It means witchcraft. So, hello, these little things along the line, these little indicators should tell you, hello. And I'm just going to add on one last note, because this is something you won't hear on the news, and you won't get unless you know somebody who's been in the inner circle. And life has a funny way of doing these things. I happen to know somebody who was in the inner circle at the Pentagon. I know them very well. I'm not going to say how I know them, but take my word for it. I'm pretty close to this person. And he worked on the other side of the desk of Mark Milley. And I ran into him. We're well acquainted. We were speaking recently. And he was telling me how furious he is with Milley, because he said when he was working with Milley 15, 20 years ago, whenever it was, when he was still active military working in the Pentagon, he said Milley was a fairly decent guy. He said he had some, out there ideas, but generally speaking, he was pretty well grounded. He said, I don't know this guy that's out there now pushing all of this woke ass bullshit. So it's to the point that I believe this weird cultish ideology that seems to be bleeding over into our politics is more akin, in my opinion, to a mental disorder than it is any political leaning or religious belief. And while they're trying to medicate and dumb down the rest of America and the world, it looks like they're doing it to themselves. So that's my soapbox. I'm getting off it. Closing thoughts, boys?
I just... Oh, go ahead, Rick.
No, Kevin, go ahead. I had nothing to say.
No, I was just going to say, as we were discussing this, I got a note about News Nation that we're talking about with Chris Cuomo from work. It's actually considered a fairly open-minded news source, but now they're wondering if Chris Cuomo's just going to throw that out the window because he's a known partisan.
He's the one who said that he was proud to be a part of the insurrection media. And to this point, I will say this, going back to my reference to Cliff High earlier, if you're not familiar with Cliff High's work, it's too involved and too in-depth to get in here. Go look him up on BitChute. But Cliff High said that one of the outcomes of this great awakening that the globalists are trying to turn into the Great Reset, he said one of the outcomes of this great awakening is going to be the complete transformation of our media back into a trusted news outlet like Joe Rogan and Russell Brand have become. And who knows, as much as you and I think Rick, despise someone like a Chris Cuomo, or at least his work, who's not available for redemption? If the guy makes a genuine change, would you not welcome him back? I would.
Sure, that'd be great.
If he truly went, hey, I don't know what I was thinking. My God, I'm sorry. Let's get real facts out there. Let me put the news back. Let me put what's going on out in front of you without my filter, and let you decide. I'm sorry. Bang! Thank you. Come on, bring it. Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely.
We're on the same page. All right. Let's pray.
My closing thought, because now that I saw even Robert Downey Jr. is on the Let's Eat Bugs train.
You hear that? That means it's noon here. Go ahead.
Well, all these celebrities coming out and saying, let's eat bugs. It's cool to eat bugs because they're going along with the World Economic Forum. It reminded me of the great Jerry Bednob, a friend of ours who's a comedian from Bangladesh, whose whole shtick was how poor they were in Bangladesh. And I'll do the impression because I love Jerry Bednob. They said to me, Jerry, you've got to try chocolate-covered cockroach, but to me it tastes like regular cockroach.
Good Jerry Bednob. Jerry would be proud. Thank you, Patriots. Kevin Downey Jr., Rick Corso. Please subscribe, and subscribe. Yeah, do it twice. Like, share, and subscribe. My name is John Mulrooney. You're listening to the Toe to Toe Show. We're going to be changing that soon, by the way, because apparently there's a bunch of names with Toe to Toe Show on it. But we're going to try to stay in touch with you, bring you up to date, share our thoughts, feelings, insights, and hopefully the facts. Try to work our way through this insanity that is our Great Awakening. Good luck. God bless. We will see you on the very next episode.